Hi everyone, my name is Rebecca. I'm a fish biologist, an ichthyologist and also a PhD student specialising in studying the evolution of lower-colored catfishes, also known as plecos in the aquarium trade. So this is kind of more of an open discussion topic because it kind of doesn't really get mentioned, but actually making your own fish food, which is a whole minefield in itself, and it definitely gets a sort of overrated, maybe would be a better word that pops to my head, but it is so much more of a complex topic than is being treated because it is about nutrition, and nutrition is such a complex topic. There's a lot we don't know of fish diets, and there's a lot we don't actually know about specific species. When it comes to fish food, obviously we're limited at what's available to us, and especially as someone without a business, how much do you have accessible to you at a reliable cost? So one of the major things I would say about making your own fish food is getting a range of nutrition. So a lot of people will only use very few sort of products or items. And is it replicating the wild fish diet with the range of nutrition the fish would require and also feed on in the wild? So particularly here, think about proteins, getting the right amount of proteins, but also the right types or more types of amino acids, range of amino acids. Are you replicating it there? Another aspect is vitamins and minerals. Are you getting all the vitamins and minerals? Are you actually adding in some products that might deplete those vitamins and minerals, such as diaminase, using raw mussels, raw prawns? I've done a video on it. Is that actually a good idea to be feeding those sort of diets very frequently? And are you getting the right amount for that except fish? Who else is going to be feeding on that? With nutrition, a lot of these diets, any diet we buy is based on a wide range of studies looking at vitamins, minerals, percentages for sort of this general fish. And this science is a science really, and it kind of makes it a little bit more difficult. And as a fish keeper, are you actually getting that range of nutrition for the animal? And it's been discussed obviously with raw dog food that vets are saying, are you actually getting that range of nutrition that you would get from a dry or wet diet? That's been pre-made by a nutritionist or a vet or a scientist, something like that. So I think that is one of the biggest things I would be wary of when making your own fish food, and also a big reason I would avoid only feeding frozen foods such as, brine shrimp, bloodworm, stuff like that, because you're not getting that range of nutrition. And also, is it gut loaded? Things like that. Is it actually what the fish would eat in the wild? How accessible is that diet? Another thing is gelling agents. A lot of fishes you kind of have to wait for them to feed, and by that time, is that diet totally broken down? And a lot of gelling agents I see people use, are they actually beneficial to the animal? So it's been discussed in, with humans, whether xanthin gum actually promotes negative, sort of harmful bacteria within the gut, or even just bacteria that compete with the natural gut biota. So it's really important just to be thinking about there's a little bit more to diet than just getting that range of nutrients. And also, are you getting that range of nutrients? Because a lot of people are feeding maybe not the diet the fish has evolved to, and a lot of fishes haven't been in captivity that long. And I think that's why it's probably the most important thing actually to be thinking about the range of nutrition. And I can't really say this for this, this for that. Another aspect is for that range of nutrition, it's not always economically viable. So vegetables are cheap, but are the fish evolved to feed on plants like that? Are they evolved to even feed on mammalian sort of, body parts, muscle, fat? Can they process that? And are you changing it by how you're actually processing the food, whether it's being boiled, dried, dehydrated, etc.? And it's just, I think there's a lot of it is being missed when it comes to fish diets, of when you're making your own, you're going through a minefield. Are you actually creating that range of nutrition that you actually need? So I do make my own occasionally, but if you want to see like how, this is my bag of ingredients for making fish food. This doesn't include everything like herbs and spices, but I've got bags. And the problem is that especially for some fishes, it's not always the most economic thing to do, which is why I wouldn't promote it. And you can see why brands like Vucko and stuff actually aren't the cheapest, because those ingredients are not cheap. And some diets charge a lot more for their ingredients, that so kind of because there's a lot more to it. But I would definitely say it's not for the light-hearted. It takes a lot of trial and error, and then there's obviously the risk that, are you getting that range of nutrition? How much can the fish digest? And firstly, will the fish actually eat it? And that's a big one for me, because I've noticed, particularly a lot of loricars, they don't really like feeding on spirulina, even though it's good for them. And it's like children and stuff like that, they don't feed on what's good for them. Even the guinea pigs, they don't always feed, well, they take ages to get to feed on stuff like courgette, even though it's good for them. And so making your own fish food, also, are you understanding nutrition completely? So it is something that needs a lot more research. Are you getting the right levels? Does your fish firstly need B12? Are you getting that into that fish's B12 diet? Do we actually know whether the fish needs, like, there's so many fish we don't have studies on whether they need B12 or not. And not all insects. So you might think, oh great, I'll feed crickets. Do they have B12? Does mealworms have B12? What about worms? B12 is kind of an easy one to think about. But then thiamine levels, obviously mentioned earlier. Range of amino acids. Are you getting too much of one amino acid that might cause issues? So for, I think, is it tryptophan? I think it's amino acid, but that is high, I think, in brassicas, so broccoli, stuff like that. That can cause issues, particularly with gas, in mammals anyway. I don't know about fishes. Do we know about fishes? Are some things potentially toxic to one but not to another? So I'm not telling anyone don't do it. I'm not telling anyone, I'm just saying it's worth thinking about, it's worth discussing if you're ever looking at the topic. I've obviously gone into it quite a bit. I do not feed I feed mostly Vucko, because there's so much more to it than just buying the products. And then obviously, how much nutrition is being lost by different preservation techniques, like so these are dehydrated mushrooms, because obviously they probably eat a level of fungi, and I do have pinaculus in that tank. I do feed on fungi in the wild, and then a dehydrated courgette as well, because this is more, quite often you'll add things to a diet that will make it more appetizing for the animal. Because a lot of the so they do actually eat a lot of cyanobacteria in the wild, loricarids, but they don't like spirulina taste or anything. So it's a lot more difficult, and you'll even notice not all biofilms they even feed on. So this is just more of a discussion. I'm not telling anyone anything. I'm still learning massively on it. I research all the time. One interesting thing I found in the paper was that for Ancistrus, just feeding one algae that was manufactured, some sort of seaweed or some sort of mat-like algae, that actually replicated the whole entire diet nutritionally to one of the processed diets. So it shows how far algae go, but they're not cheap. It's so complex, I think, and I'm happy to discuss it with people. And anyway, thank you for watching. It's just more of a word of warning, I guess. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you like my videos, please comment, like and subscribe, and goodbye.